Morning, guys. I am super thrilled because this is the first the first zucchini plant that I've actually gotten to produce zucchini. I've only ever produced one other squash plant, and literally it produced one small Sunny Delight squash, which is kind of like a patty pan squash, and then it just died. We have squash bugs so severely this year, and every year I try to grow squash, they just die. So this one, my last squash plant got to where it was producing, and then it just got ripped out of the ground, and I was horrified, like so sad and devastated because it was just finally producing. And before I could get a single squash, the storm ripped it out. Now this one survived all by itself and managed to produce this squash, which I wanted to show you what it looked like before it was picked, but my 7-year-old got super excited. Not only did he pick it, he started to peel it. So I'm pretty thrilled myself, and I'm really excited that my kids are so excited for these squash too. And it just so happened I had one male flower and one female flower open, and managed to pollinate it myself and get a whole fruit out of it. And so yesterday I had one male flower, or day before yesterday, and 2 female squash. So here's one of those. I hand pollinated both squash with that male flower. You can tell the female flowers because they have a little squash attached to it. That's basically the ovary of the plant. And this is the male flowers. And so you have to have both open in order to get squash, and that can be tricky when you have one plant. But I managed to get that one, and here's the other one that I pollinated right here. So they're doing well. And then here's one that hasn't opened up yet, and another one over here that hasn't opened up. And those are the larger ones. There are several small ones. Like here's a really small one that hasn't opened. So I have the potential to get quite a few more squash here. And then here's another male flower. This one hasn't opened yet. And then these are all ones that have not even come close to opening. So these will be male flowers, and you can tell because there are no fruit at the bottom of them. And so that's really cool. And here's a whole bunch of immature fruit and things. The problem is that right now it's in the 80s, but very quickly, come Sunday, it'll drop down to 58. The thing I'm worried about is that it's going to be in 58, and then within a couple days it's going to rise back up into the 80s. I mean, I was growing green beans in January last year, when we finally got a freeze. So well past Christmas. So the only thing is, it's just so disappointing to have a couple days of low temperatures and then it get extremely hot again. So I don't have any frost blankets or anything of that. I might just try throwing a sheet over this and see if I just can't keep it alive and well until after those few days of cold weather pass. And if that's the case, I'll probably get squash off this plant well into early November, probably even mid-November, sometimes later. And if the weather is completely crazy and warm again this year, I mean, in December we'll still have squash. So that's really cool. Now this plant does look kind of sad in certain areas, probably because it's pretty humid here. But I'm just excited to get anything. And this squash plant is above my knees, so I can't believe how large it's grown. But goes to show you, October in Southeast Texas, we're still growing squash. I'm in zone 9A. That kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at. Now, if you look down here, you can kind of see that there was some squash bug damage. This has been there. And so I kind of got the squash bug out of it a couple weeks ago. Who knows if something's going to get back into it. So here's all the roots that it kind of sprouted off. If you cover this up, it'll produce more roots, but it's getting so heavy, it just won't stay covered up in this bed anymore. And so I don't know how long until it just completely, goes away from all the damage. But this part of the plant over here, if you look, it's actually touching the ground at the bottom. I don't really want to pick it up because I'll break it. But if you look, this kind of part of it is a bush squash, but it does still slightly vine. All of that is touching the ground. And so that means all of that has the potential to get little root nubs across the bottom of it. Now, this one doesn't really have spines on it. It is a spineless version. I did plant some yellow squash F1 spineless, but I think this is actually some version of like a spineless black beauty squash. And I'll walk over here to the other bed and show you that that one actually isn't producing fruit. It's starting to produce flowers, but it has very small or very prominent spines on it. So it's not a spineless variety. And honestly, until I start growing this season and actually have my squash plants produce. Hello, buddy.
When are you done?
So here's the plant I was talking about, and you can actually, I don't know if you can see in the camera. Yeah, that you can. These little things are actually spikes, and it's kind of like how certain okra get those spines on them, and they are sharp. You know, they kind of feel like little cactus stickers when they poke you. And so I definitely see the importance, especially where my kids are going to be picking squash and helping out, to get some spineless varieties. Kind of like how I grow this Clemson spineless okra, which still has spines, but it's not nearly as bad. I think that's really important because this is pretty, I mean, those spikes get pretty painful. And if they're a bunch of plants kind of growing really close together, I can definitely see the issue. Now, this one doesn't have any real disease on it whatsoever. There are some dying leaves, but I mean, they're just the oldest leaves on the plants. And it's a little wilty because it is hot. But this one might actually grow enough to produce if I can keep it kind of protected. But really, there's only one other squash plant besides this one and the one producing, and it looks so bad and so sad it's not going to make it. So I think even if just these two plants are producing squash, I'm super, super thrilled. I mean, to finally have a squash after all my effort is just incredibly exciting. So what I think is that from now on, fall, I'm going to try again in spring now that I kind of know what I'm doing as far as these squash are concerned. But I think fall is definitely going to be my late August, early September, start my squash, a good 50-day variety. I think I'll be swimming in zucchini and summer squash next fall, which will be really cool because I like making like fried zucchini chips with some ranch for myself and the kids, zucchini bread, and I also like taking the zucchini itself and like how they started peeling it, peel all the outside off of it, cut the ends off, and then slice it into little thin, about 1 inch by 1/2 inch strips and little cubes, and then cook them in some sugar syrup and maybe some Kool-Aid packets or any kind of flavoring like that. You can use apple juice, any kind of juice you like, and I'll actually dye it and cook it until it's kind of translucent, then dehydrate it in the oven on like 175 to 180 degrees, or dehydrate or whatever you have available, and it will actually produce really cool zucchini gummy bears, kind of like a fruit snack or a Twizzler. And my kids love them, and they know that they're eating them, and they're cool with it, and I'm cool with it, you know. I know not everyone's a fan of like juice or Kool-Aid and sugar syrup, but hey, you know what? It's a lot better than whatever's in the Twizzlers you buy at the school store. So I'm all for it. Like, I'll make homemade Twizzlers any day of the week and love it. So that's pretty much it for my squash plants. I mean, they're doing pretty well, you know. These two are. Everything else I've just lost. Squash bugs were bad. I just see them like flying around, landing on everything. Even where there's not squash, we have squash bugs everywhere. It's absolutely insane. So, hey, if you so much as got a single zucchini, congratulations, because you don't realize just how crazy exciting it is to get one of these bad boys until you've grown your first one. And that's pretty good size, I mean, for a first zucchini. And so exciting that the kids already started processing it before I even had a chance to really take a picture or anything. So that's a really cool way to get your kids excited about gardening. So I hope this kind of gives you some information. You know, it's nothing super educational, but kind of shows off my own journey with zucchini plants and squash in general. If you're feeling discouraged, even just, you know, growing that one zucchini, it really kind of lights the fire underneath you. I'm pretty ecstatic, guys. So I hope you all have a great day. Enjoy my little squash and share in my excitement, and feel encouraged to kind of grow your own zucchini. Even if you get one, I mean, at least you'll learn what to do. So for next season, you'll be completely prepared.